Hi there, welcome back. Thirsty Pups, Casey and Shay. I want to first say, amazing Wolves game yesterday. Thank you again for all the Thirsty Pups that came out to Park Tab.
Yeah, what a great time.
Yeah, had a great time. Place was packed. Everybody had a blast. You know, there's obviously some key moments like Ant's deep three, Naz's jelly layup. I mean, people were going absolute bonkers, and that's exactly why Shay and I put this watch party idea together. It's not for us, it's for the fans, it's for the Wolves community, and we want everybody to kind of get together and have good vibes to keep moving through the season and get into a deep playoff run, right?
What a great time, and thank you to the people that helped make it happen over at Park Tavern. Christian, Zach, the owner Phil, everyone over there that we've been working with at Park Tav has done a great job of welcoming the Wolves community in, taking care of them, giving them drink specials. So, you know, it's going to be fun to get back there for some of those games. For game 2, we're going to be at the Hilton Garden Inn in downtown Minneapolis, and we'll get on some of those details a little bit later. But also want to thank Capital Beverage and Stilly as well for making those events possible. But let's dive into game 1. As fun as it was being there and seeing the passion from the crowd, and being at a watch party like that. And, you know, I think actually my friend he had a Richter scale. And he said that there was a little bleep in St. Louis Park, right around the Park Tavern area. When Nas Reed hit his first 3, I think the place just you could feel a little shake there. But
absolutely.
And Nas Reed was my X Factor that we talked about in the last video, right?
Yeah, he's your bench X Factor, and Rudy was your starting.
Rudy was my starting X Factor, and I think to talk a little bit about Nas, I think he did exactly what he needed to do. He had a couple open threes. He got into transition. He put some pressure. But I think our main scores were going, so it's not like we needed Nas Reed to come put 20, 25 in to get the game going. But he took on a lot of minutes, and he looked good doing it. But I think my starting X Factor and Rudy, you know, the main thing we talked about was cleaning up the boards, creating offensive rebounds, and putting pressure on Nurkic inside because they can't match up with our size and our depth, which was the advantage going into the series. And like we talked about earlier, Rudy had 8 and 6 rebounds, though they might not be the best stats with shortened games. But then to see his playoff work of 16 rebounds, 6 of them being offensive, and then to put 14 points in as well. If Rudy does that, the Suns are going to be in a huge amount of trouble, and that's why I picked Rudy as my X Factor. You saw the production. What was the total rebounds? Maybe you can talk a little bit about the statistics.
No, absolutely. I mean, and if you listen to us on Friday, I mean, one of the key points we talked about was controlling the paint. You know, I think I mentioned too, like, you know, seeing Cat potentially take some of those smaller guys down inside and so forth, which he did a little bit at times. But yeah, I mean, we controlled the paint, 52-28 in rebounds for the Wolves, 52-34 in paint points, and then another stat that, you know, I think obviously was well observant or whatever, was 20-6 in second chance points, right? So for me on my end, I mean, the 2 X Factors that I took Cat as the X Factor for the series, and for game 1 as a starter, I took Nickeil Alexander-Walker as the bench player. I thought Cat played a really efficient game in 25 minutes or so. 19 points, 19 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He only shot 2 threes, and that's fine. I think maybe not necessarily against the Suns. I mean, in other series or other matchups or other games, we will need him to shoot some more and obviously hit more. He went 1 for 2.
Well, his advantage is inside a little bit more and get into the basket, but I think that almost carries into your other X Factor.
Yes, and it does. And one thing I will say too is that even in that first quarter, I thought Cat played a very efficient first quarter. They were throwing the doubles at him more so than Ant. He wasn't getting sticky with the ball, and he was getting it out quickly and efficiently, and not doing, you know, behind the back passes that are going out of bounds or whatever, right? But
he did have some nice passes.
He did, no, absolutely, no, for sure. And but yeah, so then that rolls into my bench player, which was Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Passionately, we call him Nah. And I mean, look at this guy: 18 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, 4 for 9 from 3. So, like, if Cat only shoots 2 threes, but Nah shoots 9, I mean, right there, he made up for Cat, and even made up for a little bit of Nas, as Nas went 2 for 6, right? But I think what was evident in the evolution of Alexander Walker is that, you know, the guy is instant offense, right? He came into the game at the 5-minute mark, him and Nas did, about a minute into his first shift in the game 1 of the playoffs. he has his patent left-handed swooping layup, and then he gets a corner three on the next possession. Right. So it's like, bang, 5 points from Na, right?
That's so Na, too.
So absolutely. And played great defense. And I think what you saw, too, was...
People only think about him as a defender, right. But if you watch, he's a complete player.
Yes.
He is a complete player.
And I think what you also noticed, too, is that I think a lot of us were kind of curious, like, would Monte Morris come in as a backup point guard? Or with Jordan, or are they not going to play at all? I think what you also saw then is they brought in Na with Nas, and Na was the primary ball handler with Ant, and then they roll with that 5 for quite a while.
Well,
right?
And with Nas, how he can handle the ball too. I mean, he's another ball handler out there, so you don't necessarily need to run out there with another point guard. So, and with our size being such a problem and cleaning up the boards, I mean, when we can run a bigger lineup out there with the same amount of ball handlers, you saw that caused issues for the Suns. So
I think the other things that I would bring up after the X factors that we kind of hit on a little bit before about the good and bad of the matchup before we kind of wrap this up is, I think a lot of Wolves fans are worried that the Suns were going to come in and light us up from 3 again. Right. They were 48% for threes for the three games against the Wolves, the 3 Wolves losses. They ended up going 9 for 28 for 32%. Now 32% 10 years ago is looks good. Now, teams are shooting exactly, and now exactly at the volume they're shooting too. So that was huge. Grayson Allen was 0 for 3. I know he left with an ankle injury, so he didn't scare you. I wasn't worried about Bradley Beal. I'm not trying to put shame or bad vibes on Bradley Beal. He's a good player. I just didn't foresee him putting up 34 and going 6 from 3 like he did on Sunday. Yeah. So that really wasn't a big concern to me. The last thing I'll say before I hand over to Shea is excellent defense by Jay McDaniels on Booker. Right. Booker went 1 for 7 when Jaden was guarding him. So I think a lot of fans thought that what you were going to see coming into the series is a lot of Jaden on Durant. Yeah. And I think Finch and the Wolves are wise enough to know that Durant's going to get his, and probably an efficient volume, that it's better to put your best defender on Booker so that way you don't have 2 guys going off for 35 plus. Right, as opposed to that Durant more likely is going to get 28 plus every game.
Well, and I think you talked about that a little bit last time. And Finchie is going to make some adjustments. Right. You're going to see what he's going to come and throw out Phoenix, and seems like it worked. And now we're going to see what type of adjustments Phoenix is going to make for Game 2, and how we're going to be able to either keep playing to our strengths or adapt to what they're doing, in a new phase. But I think another thing that we talked about as well is, with those 3 ISO scorers and that perimeter defense needing to be a factor, sometimes since they are mid-range to outside scorers consistently, that can take Rudy out of the game. But his perimeter defense was awesome. Even though Kevin Durant was hitting some of these shots, you can't do anything.
Kevin Durant hits those shots at the best defenders in the league.
He's making it a tough shot, and if you continue to make the other team shoot tough shots, that is going to be in your favor in a 7-game series. So I think our defense was flying around.
Correct.
It was so fun to watch how hard they played with just the rotation on defense when they're driving and swinging, and you just see how quick it is and the effort there.
And they completely dominated them. Right? They completely dominated them in the second and the third quarter. Here's a wild stat.
Kendrick Perkins said we're the most physical team in the NBA, and you can see them punishing the Suns.
Here's a wild stat that as fans you're just taking in the game, so you're not looking at the stats while the game's going on. Per se, in the third quarter alone, Ant himself had 8 field goals in the third quarter. Yeah. The Suns as a team only had 6, and the Wolves outscored him by 10 points in that quarter. So it just shows you. And I think what a lot of Wolves fans were worried about was, because Ant didn't have his best games against the Suns, that they were worried that he was going to get clamped down again. And I think what you noticed with how the game evolved is that as the game kept moving and moving and moving, Ant just kept finding himself in more open shots and more open room to attack the basket, where they weren't able to set up and have that kind of fanned out defense to help him on either side, right? All right, I think we kind of hit on all the main key points. So why don't you kind of fill us in, kind of as our second location here of Thirsty Pups here at the Hilton Garden Inn for Tuesday. Yeah,
well we'll add one more thing, and then we'll talk about Game 2 where we're going to be at. The Suns obviously they have 3 All-Stars in their lineup. They're just not going to lay over and die and give the Wolves this series. So Game 2 is a big game for us. We always say it's not a series until you lose a home game. So Game 2 is going to tell us a lot about where this series is going to end up. like the adjustments that Phoenix makes is this young Wolves team who are, very businessmen-like even for their age.
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to come back after an exciting game like that and do it again?
Yeah.
Against a team that's been there or players that have been there and had these experiences. And the way that Ant was talking to KD, that he's going to come out with a little bit extra edge to try and shut the young fella up. So. But, for that game, it's going to be another exciting game. That's Tuesday for a 6:30 tip-off.
Yep.
We're at the Hilton Garden Inn in downtown Minneapolis. So if you're going to the game, you can stop by before. We're going to be having a watch party going on as well. Food is going to come out at 5:30, and that includes some free chicken tenders and free fries. That'll be right over at the food buffet.
Dipping sauces are free as well.
Yeah, they even got to them. I think Asian Zing was my favorite.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a good hitter for us, but we're also going to have half off Prize Brewery taps.
Yep.
So delicious beer, local to Minnesota. I think that'll be fun. They're not too far away from Target Center. Valet parking, if you end up wanting to park here, go to the game, whatever it may be, is going to be $15. And then
or just for fans that are coming.
Or just fans that are coming to watch the game.
Yep.
If you don't want to do a street parking or getting in a ramp,
yep.
They put a discount on us for valet parking, as well as if you are coming into town and are going to the game, or you're coming to the watch party and maybe have one too many Stillies, maybe you have one too many prize beers, you got to stay the night. It's going to be $99 for the night for Thirsty Pups. Yeah. Usually their going rate for a weekday is above $200, so that's a great deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll post more of these details later today.
Yep.
Just so you guys have it in writing, can share with your friends and whatnot. But we're excited to be here. We're excited to have. We're working with our friend Dante. Is going to be bartending. He's a fellow Thirsty Pup.
Yep.
He's the one that's been helping us set this up. So thank you to Dante. Thank you to Fade and Elegant for always making us look beautiful
Abby,
with our haircuts. Abby, thank you. It's 15% off if you mention Thirsty Pups. We'll put the link to book with Abby over in West End, right by Punch Bowl Social. But win or lose, Thirsty Pups look good.
Absolutely.
So, and she's caught other Thirsty Pups as well. So what a great partnership we got.
But when you say Thirsty Pups, you're talking humans, not actual dogs. Not dogs. Canines.
Not dogs. Okay. Yeah. She's not licensed for that quite yet.
Okay.
Maybe in the future.
Sure.
Thirsty Pups cuts for the pets as well.
Yeah, pup cuts.
Pup cuts. And also again, thank you to Stilly, Capital Beverage.
Absolutely. All those at Park
Tab. Everyone involved with the Hilton
all the
Garden
people
Inn.
here at Hilton. We're excited to be able to come here for a second event as well.
Right. Plenty of TVs, plenty of seating.
Yeah, we'll send some photos.
We'll send some photos out there, but. Looking forward to game 2. I think, do we got anything else, or is that?
No, I think we're all set. I think we just want to see another excellent Wolves game. We're going to be howling here, prior to 6:30, ready for the tip, and get excited again, and you just have some good, positive Wolves vibes once again here for the playoffs.
There you go. So we're Thirsty Pups.
Casey Shea.
Hey,
have a great day.
Next time.